Welcome everybody back to Draping with Donna. And today we're going to do the bodice back and then we'll finish up the bodice front. All right? So first of all, let's mark our fabric, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to mark our seam line. Okay, so we did the front, center front over on the right side. So now we're going to do the back on this side. So we need the 1 inch center back on the left side. Okay, so let me just get this on here. Okay, so this will be our lengthwise grain. Okay, and then we need to do our crosswise grain. Wait, let me just make sure this is straight here. Okay, all right. So the next thing we need to do is the cross grain. Okay, so this brings about a little discussion on where that's going to be, all right? So in the front, we use the bust line, but in the back, we're going to use the horizontal balance line, okay? And you guys, we've talked about that before, right? Mm-hmm. Okay? So how do we determine where that is? Well, if you measure your back neck down to your waist, okay, she's trying to move away here. All right, okay, so that's 17 inches. And so your horizontal balance line is 1/4 of the way down. Okay, so I'm here at 4 1/4. Now, you guys probably have this already on your dress form, but we're not going to take it for granted that it's straight. Okay, so what we're going to do is, because this is curved, that makes it a little bit tricky. Rulers don't really work too well here. So this is perpendicular right here. We want it to be perpendicular all the way over to the shoulder. So we are going to use a piece of paper. I'm just looking here for a piece of paper. And I see one. Can I grab that? Okay, perfect. I won't hurt it. I'll give it back. Okay, so here we are. So if I take this paper and paper should be straight, and if I line that up to center back, okay, there it's lined up, and then I should be able to follow this all the way over. Okay, so just keep it lined up here, and then follow it over, and that should be your line. Okay, so check to see that yours is on. Oh, okay. This dress form is getting its own attitude problem. Okay, all right. So that's pretty good. It probably could be moved up a little bit, all right? So go ahead and get this nice and straight, okay? All right, I'm just going to leave this because I want to keep moving, but you guys check and make sure yours is straight and then fix it if it isn't. All right? So because this is going to be where we do our lengthwise grain and cross grain, we need to put that line here, okay? So making sure that we have enough fabric. The highest point on the bodice is at the back neck, at where the shoulder and the neck come. And then if we go down, that's like 5.5 inches to here. So if I do it, I'm going to do it at about 8 inches down, okay? So if you do like 8, 8.5, 7, somewhere in there. All right, so let's go ahead and put that line. Okay, so I'm going to go 8 inches. Oh. Okay, so there's 8 inches. Okay, and I'm actually going to use the same line. Okay, and then square that up. Okay. Okay, so there's our lengthwise grain and our cross grain. Okay, so we're going to put another line in here that's going to help us to balance. Okay, because we put this line here And that helped us to balance. So let's do another one here. All right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure from the center back along the horizontal balance line, and I'm going to go right to the ridge. And this poor dress form, because I use felt pens so you guys can see, she's got a nice little row of felt pens, but don't do that on your dress form. So let's measure, and that is like 7 3/8. Okay? So I could go over 7 3/8, but I need to add a little bit of ease here. So I'm going to add the ease in first before I mark it. So from here to here, how much ease do we want here? That's not an ease amount that we normally talk about a lot, but you do need a little bit so you can move your shoulders. So if you have like a 1/4 inch to 3/8 across here, that would be enough. So if I do half of that, so let's do 3/8. So half of 3/8 is 3/16, right? Okay. So let's measure this again. And this was 7 3/8, and then if I add in 3/16, that's 7 1/2 and a 16th. Okay, so I know that's kind of a buggy measurement, but let's put it here. Okay, and that goes right there. Okay, and then I'm gonna measure again down here, and then I'm gonna draw another guideline, and this will just help me to balance it so that I get it nice and straight. Okay, so all right, so we'll just do that. Okay, so we're ready to go. Okay, so let's go ahead and crease your fabric right along center back. Okay, and just however you want to crease it, that's fine. But get that turned under. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and start draping it here. We'll put it up on the dress form, and we're going to start with where the lengthwise grain, crosswise grain, where they match up. Okay, and then we'll just go up to the neck. We don't need any extra ease, but don't pull it too tight. Okay, and then down along center back. Okay, and I'll just go ahead and pin that right at the waist here in the middle. Okay, so that, just want to make sure. I'm gonna put another pin here. Okay, that's all right. That's good. Okay. All right, and then I'm going to bring this, that should come straight across. Okay. So, all right, so I'm just going to go ahead and put that in here. All right, so the next thing we want to do, well, we could go up here. That's probably the easy part, but we can also start down here. So let's start down here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to balance this, okay? Do you guys remember how I balanced the last one? You just, what was that?
Oh, you made slash marks on either side of the line and
Okay.
made it hang straight.
Good. All right. So yeah, we do need to put in some slash marks, or it's not gonna, we're not gonna be able to get it to lay good, smooth. Okay. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I've got to place that, you know what? That's the wrong balance line. Okay, let me just show you that. That'll come in handy, but I'm taking it off because I'm going to put in a balance line that will work better for us. All right, so, okay, so let me just, okay, so this line marks here, okay? But what I want to do is I need to bring that inside because that's too close here. I need something about right here. So I'm going to go 1.5 inches in And I'll do a different color. All right, so you can see. Yeah, this is the line that I meant to do. Okay, here we go. There, that's better. All right. Okay, now let's put it back on. So can you see where I've got this one now? So this is the one I want to use to balance. This one I will use this. Don't worry about putting this one in. That was a mistake. I don't want that one in there. But we do want a line there, but just not that long. So I'll just show you when we get there. Okay. All right, so let's. Okay, did everyone get that? Where to put this line? Yes. Okay, good. Okay, that's better. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, let's go ahead and put this where it goes, along here, okay? And this actually, we're going to bring that over a bit, because we've got a little bit of ease in there. So now what I'm going to do is I want this line to come straight down, and then I'm going to go ahead and pin it at the waist, all right? Now, when I put in this green balance line, that will help to determine how big of a dart that I have here, okay? So if I put it right here, how does that look? Having really looked at it. How does that look? Terrible? It should look terrible. Good, thank you. We haven't looked at it yet. But the reason, and also we need to be careful because we kind of have a good idea of how big this dart should be. Based on your slopers and drafting, how big should this dart be? Not quite as big as this, right? Yeah. So let me look at this. Actually, that wasn't that far off, was it? Okay, so let's look at this. And we just gotta come straight down. Okay?
Dr. Bond.
Yeah.
So we want the blue line to be perpendicular to the floor? Is that what we're trying to do?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly
Just
right.
confirm.
Yeah, good. So we want this line to be perpendicular to the floor. So we want this to come down straight. So if it veers a little bit to the left or the right, that could cause a problem, all right? And that could come back to haunt us when we're all finished and we check the balance of the side seams. So you want to be very careful. So I am going to, and I think it's easier. I went ahead and pinned this down, but I just took it off because I think it's easier to see if you're just coming out straight, okay? So if I come down like that, okay, so let me pin that in. Okay. Okay. And then if I just come down straight like that. And sometimes squinting helps. Okay, so just go ahead and squint. All right? Okay. I think that. All right. I'll show you guys and you can tell me what you think. Okay, and this is kind of in the way. So I'm gonna just pull this back there. Okay, what do you guys think? Does that look straight down?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Now, be certain. We don't want to have to. What do you think?
It looks like it goes in so a little bit.
Does
at
it
the
come
end,
in this
but
way a little bit?
I think so.
But I
Alright.
don't know if that's
But I don't know if
curve
it's just
the
because
bo-
of the curve of the
dress
form or not.
Yeah. Wait, you thought it went in this way
Yeah.
too much? Okay, let me try that. Yeah, that is tricky, isn't it? Okay, how does that look?
Oh, better.
All right, okay, we're gonna go with that. Okay, so the next thing that I'm gonna do is I'm going to form the dart on the princess line. Okay? All right. So, darts. Oh, you know what else I'm going to do? I need a 1/4 inch of ease. I am going to put a little ease right in here. Okay? And to make sure I don't scoop it up, I'm just going to put a pin. Okay? So you don't have to put it all in one place. You can kind of push it in as you go. But I'm going to put this in here just to make sure I don't lose it. All right? And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to do the princess line. I'm going to put the dart on the princess line. And I'm going to pin it to itself. Okay? All right. So how does that look? So that dart is how big? So if you guys have your draping or your sloper, let's check and see on your dart. This one is 3/8. So it's 6/8. It might be a little small.
Where's mine?
All right. So how big are your darts at
I don't
the?
have a ruler.
Because I think these might be a little small. So that kind of gives us a good guide.
Mine's almost 1.5 inches.
Okay, so we're a little bit small on that dart. All right, so I'm going to go back and look at this and see if I need to come over a little bit. Okay, because that's, now that doesn't mean I have to be exactly, but I should be in the ballpark, right? Okay, so I'm going to bring this over a little bit more. Okay. Okay, I think that's. Okay, and so because we've done flat pattern and drafting, that kind of helps us a little bit. Okay, we're still, okay, how does that? Looks good. All right. Let's go ahead and put that in. Okay, I think. I don't know if it's much bigger. Well, that is bigger. That's, I now have 1.5 inches, 3/4. So that's good. All right, and that looks really straight. Okay, then the next thing is, you want your dart to point up to the horizontal balance line. Okay, so if your dart is not pointing where you want it to point, it usually means that your dart legs are not the same. So sometimes you can adjust it here. Okay, I think this is pretty good, but okay. All right, and some of that will come in when we perfect these as well. Okay, so the next thing is, where does this dart end? Can you guys see where it's ending? See, and also I have this in here too. So I've got some of the ease. Okay, so where does the dart end? Can you see, like maybe right in here? Okay. And you want it to be fairly close, but it doesn't have to be right on top. Okay, so there's a few ways that we determine, that looks about right. There's a couple of different ways to determine how long this dart should be. One of them is to see that it is at this level here of the metal plate, that it comes in right around there. Like now, your armhole actually starts 1 inch down. So it should come in that area here. Or you can also look on both sides of the dress form and see that this is about the same level as the bust point. Mm-hmm. All right? So how does that look? Are we in the ballpark?
Yeah.
All right. Sometimes in books, and the one book that I recommend for this, for draping, they actually just give you an amount. They say 7 inches for the dart. Well, that works if you're in a certain size range, but really with different sizes of dress forms, that's a little better guide. Okay. All right, so we have that. Okay, now let's go, so we have our dart. Let's go ahead and finish up our side seam here. Okay, so that'll be on the other side here at the, all right, here we go. Okay, so I've got that pinned here. Okay, and then we're going to smooth that on up like we did the other one, right? And we'll just go ahead and pin right here under the arm. Okay, so I'm just going to put that in here. Okay, so there's our side seam. Okay, let's go on up to the neck. And we need to do some slashing here. Okay, I'm going to take some of that off. Okay, we want to be careful here that we don't go too far. Okay. Let's see. And you can slash to the seam. Just make sure you don't go through it. Okay, I'm gonna, all right. Okay, so that's, get rid of that. Okay, so I'm just gonna go along here to the neck. Let me find a smaller pin. Okay, there we go. Okay, that's good. But I'm gonna slash this a little bit so it will. Okay. All right, there we go. Okay, then we're gonna come over here to the shoulder seam, and here's the princess line. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark that so that I know that's where my dart will start. Because I have a small dart here in the back we're going to put in. Okay? And then I'm going to come over here. And this is a smaller dart. About how big is this one? Do you guys remember? Like 5/8? Yeah, 5/8, half an inch. That looks about right. So that's about what we want to put here. Okay? And then we want this to point again to the horizontal balance line. And about how long does this need to be?
3 inches maybe?
Yeah, about 3 inches or so. So I'm just going to measure and see what we've got here. Yeah, that's about 3 inches. Okay, then I'm coming over here to the armhole, and that looks about right because I don't want anything up here extra that's going to be pointing. So, because if I bring too much over here, like if I try and bring in more here than I need, you can, I'm trying to make this look bad. See, I don't need that. Just put it in, but anyway, you can see it's not pointing down to where I need, and I can just take that right off. And that becomes like where the armhole would be. So if there was an arm, it would be right here. All right? Okay, so I think we're good. Let's put where this ends. This wants to end about right here. And see, again, if it starts to kind of slant or point off somewhere, then I know that we have that. The legs are off. So I'm going to go ahead and put in here where I think it ends. Like about right there. Okay? All right. So now I'm going to put a pin here on the ridge. Okay. Okay. All right. And then, okay, so this, I want this to come up nice and smooth. So I think I'm going to move that up a little bit. Okay. Okay, I think that's good. And then this, okay, so I think we're good. What do you think? I've got my ease here, because remember it's, and see this is a little tight here. I think I'm going to give that a little bit more room. Like I said, it's easy to kind of overfit. Okay, So I wanna make sure that this isn't too tight here. And I've pinched out my ease, so I know for sure I won't lose that. And everything else looks pretty smooth here. All right, and remember, we put ease in here. We're gonna put ease here. We need the 1/4 inch. Do you remember when we did the torso slopers? And we took up an inch on the side? But see, on this, I'm adding in the inch. So that's kind of corresponds to that. All right, I think we're good. Lovely. Yes. Somebody likes it. That's good.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and mark the neck. Okay. And so you just, if you can't, the lines are there, but sometimes you gotta kinda make sure you get the dot on the right place. Okay.
Dr. I have a question.
Yeah. Yeah.
On the front, we pinched out the E's at the
Right.
arm side.
Yeah.
Did we not do that?
No,
for that?
we don't need to here.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is longer. This seam right here is longer than this is. But here, with the ease that we need for the bust and stuff, we do pinch out a
Oh,
little
for
bit
the
here,
bust.
but not
Okay.
back here. Yeah,
Makes
good.
sense. Thank you.
Very good question. Okay, so here's this. Okay, then, do I need to mark in the shoulder seam?
No,
Well,
you can.
it's a
do
straight
that.
line.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna mark where the dart is. Okay, do you remember the little L that we used there? Okay, well, your little L is gonna look better than my little L, because this thing is huge. See that? And this is the best marking tool for muslin. And I told Caitlin, do not sharpen it too sharp, all right? So, don't use felt pens. All right, so I'm just gonna come, so I've marked the neck, the beginning of the dart with the little L right here, the other side of the dart, and then I'm going to make sure I mark the top of the shoulder, okay, and then I'm going to mark along the ridge, okay, and how can you tell where the ridge is?
You can feel it.
Yes, you can feel it. All right, and also, if you were to bring this, you know, come straight up like this, straight out like that, that's where those meet. And so it's just that little upper edge. And it should be, this might be a little close, but it should be about 1/4 of an inch or so from the plate. So this is kind of close. Well, okay, so I might go in a little bit here. Now I've got double marks, so that will be really fun to fix. Okay, then remember we leave this. There's nothing here that's gonna guide us on that. We'll do that later, all right? But we come over here and I'm gonna mark where the arm plate stops and the side seam starts, okay? And then I don't need to mark anything else on the side seam except for the waist, but where are we gonna mark on the waist?
On the bottom. Of
On the bottom. So we're just gonna go all the way down to there, okay? This is in the way. Let me get this out of the way while we talk about this. Okay, all right. Then I'm just gonna come along here and I'm gonna mark along the bottom of the tape, the waist tape. Okay, and then I'm gonna come to my dart and I'm gonna do the little L again and on both sides. Okay, and then just come over here. There. All right. Do I have everything? Let's review. All right, so I have the dart, but I'm gonna mark where the pins are. I probably will end up changing those because we're gonna make sure this is balanced. This is actually a balanced dart here, so I'll show you how we do that. But I've got neck, shoulder, armhole, side seam, waist. Okay, we're good. All right, so let's take this off and we'll put it up on the board and we'll finish putting all our lines in, okay? Okay, and I've got that marked. That. So draping has a very different feel to it, doesn't it, than, kind of, oh, this is stuck. Okay, here we go. Some people like it better than working with flat patterns, some people don't. So it's just kinda, you'll just be exposed to all the different ways, and then you'll know how to do them for whatever kind of patterns you wanna make. And sometimes we use all of them. Okay. Okay, so let's put it up. I'll put it over here, okay? Because, actually I'm gonna go over here, because this is where we're gonna end up. Okay, we gotta make sure they are working together. Okay, so here's our side seam here, and here's that side seam. All right, so let's go ahead and do some lines here, all right? So we'll start with the easiest, okay? How about the neck? Okay, one thing we do want to mention is that remember how we need to have that right angle for a 1/2 inch? So I'm going to do that, okay? And I'll put a little right angle thing here so you know. Okay, and then we're going to go up to there, okay? And you can see some of the dots are kind of on that side, some on this side, so just go through the middle, okay? All right, the next thing we're gonna do is we're going to join the seams from where the darts were, all right? And then where I put the tip of the dart is really small. So I'm actually going to take that out a ways, okay, so that I make that, I'm just going to make that a little bit bigger, okay, and then I'm going to check and see if the dart legs are the same. 3 inches, hey, 3 inches, that's great.
Beautiful.
Yesterday was a bit of a struggle. Okay, so now let's go along here, and I kind of did double dots. So I'm going to go into the ones that were a little bit further in, because I think at first I was out a little too far on the ridge. All right, let's go down here, okay, to the waist. Okay, so I'm going to go across here to where this dart starts, and then I'm gonna stop right here. I'm not going to go all the way, because this needs to match up with this, and I'm just going to leave that open right now. But I am going to go ahead and do the side seam, all right? So if I put my ruler at the mark that was right at the bottom of the metal plate, and then where the waist ends, that's not great, right? I mean, but well, I'm just gonna, okay, so we go an inch down, so I'll mark where the inch down is, okay? And then we're gonna go out 1/2 inch, right? So we're adding in our ease now. And I'll put this, when we're finished, I'll put this back on the dress form so you can see what that looks like on a dress form when you have the ease in there, okay? Because all you guys have seen how fitted it is. Okay, I'm just gonna put here center back. Okay, so far so good. Oh, let's do this dart. Okay, so I'm gonna find the middle of this dart, and it's 1 inch, and well, because of my felt pen, it's 1 3/8 inches, so what's half of that? That's 5, and 1/2 inch plus 1/2 3/8 is like, what is it? 3/16. Okay. Okay, yeah, see, that's a lovely fraction again. Okay, so I found the middle. Now I'm going to measure over. Because this is balanced, the guideline right in the middle of the dart should be parallel to center back, right? Now remember on the front, this was not, okay? Because that's just the way it is, you know? Because this is all, who knows what it's gonna be. So, I'm gonna measure this. So this is like a 4 1/4 to 4 3/8, because this is an 1/8 of an inch wide. So the one thing that this does do for me is, even though my dart, wow, that's really far apart, but 4 1/4. Okay, so even though this is really over, that's really far over. It's usually not that far off. But there's my middle. This distance here should be the same as this. So I'm hoping this balance line is okay. All right, so that's where I want my dart to be, but I know what level. I know where to stop it. I know how long it needs to be. So I'm just stopping it right there. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and draw this in. Okay. And I'm going to measure the dart legs, and I can already tell that they're a little bit off. So this is 8 1/2, and this is 8 3/8. So I'm gonna take this one down a little bit, and this one up a little bit, okay? So I'm gonna go over like this, okay? And then this one I'm gonna come in up a little bit. It's hard to tell because I just looks like a big fat mess, all right? But this one I did bring it up a little bit, and this one I brought it down a little bit, so now I'm okay. And you guys understand the balance dart part, okay, good. Okay, let's do the underneath, the armhole, okay? So, because we don't really have anything to go by, and we're still learning how to do these armholes, we're going to use a few guidelines that have helped us in our draping, and especially in our, not our draping, in our drafting. When we were drafting armholes, there were some certain guidelines that will help us, all right? So the first one is, I am going to measure from the bottom here, the bar, like the midway where we stopped here at the armhole, and I'm going to measure over to center front. I'm going to go down a ways and measure again, and I'm going to draw a line parallel to center front. So if you look at this, you'll see that there's a little spot on the armhole where it goes straight down. Can you see that? It's only like 1 inch to 1.5 inches right here and right here. So if I draw a line from center front along here, that will help us to get this part. You can see a little bit better right here. So that will help us do a little bit of it anyway. So let's go. Okay, so this is 8 1/4. So I'm going to go down. I'm going to go down below the bottom of the armhole and put a dot. Okay, and then, okay, so then join those. Okay, and that goes down. Okay, so see how, so this is coming in down here, and then when it comes to here, it's going to go down about 1 inch, 1 1/4, so about down to there. So that's what I got so far. Now I need to come down here. Okay, so the guideline I'm going to use down here is, now I want to do a line perpendicular to center front. All right, so I'm going to take I'm going to go to the top of the side seam, and I'm going to line that up with center front, and I'm going to do another line. Okay, so I did this line right straight across. So I have now this line coming down and this one going across. Okay, and I am, okay, now where they cross, I'm going to split the middle of here and do a diagonal line about 7/8 up. Okay, so let's put that there. All right, and you guys, with your ruler, you can tell. And I'm just going to do a dot. Okay, So there's my dot.
How
All right.
far in was that again?
So from here to here should be about 7/8 of an inch.
Okay.
Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I can go ahead and draw this and coming and join this to here, and then I'm gonna bring this in down here. But one thing I wanna do is I need to do about 1/2 an inch. If you can do a little bit more than that even, that would work. I'm gonna do about 3/4, okay? And this is square that off, 90-degree angle right here. So that's helping us. So we're doing pretty good so far. All right? So do you remember when we did the drafting, how we had kind of dots that we had to then join? So that's pretty much what we're doing here. So you can use a vary form. I tend to just draw them in, but I'm going to use a vary form here. And I'm going to make sure those dots all kind of match. Okay? And then this is looking a little bit, I need to straighten that out. Okay, all right. So I used a vary form and see how I matched that. Okay, now I've got to bring this down into here. Okay, so I'm just gonna bring that in. Okay, there. Isn't that lovely? All right, so let's do the same thing over here. Okay, I'm gonna use a different color so it's easier to see. Okay, so see this line that was a mistake right here? It is now coming in handy because this went straight down, parallel to center front. So I'm gonna measure here about 1.25 inches, I'm gonna go like 1.5 inches. And then, so I've got this line, now I'm gonna bring a line over here, like this one here, like I did on that one, okay? So I'm gonna do a perpendicular line there, and there, okay? So I've got my two guidelines, this one and this one, okay? So the next step is the 7/8. Okay, so I'm gonna try and, I think that was pretty good in the middle. So I'm gonna, yeah, okay, good. I think I got it. Okay. All right. So I've got this dot, and I've got to join it to this dot, and then this has to join up to this line. So I'm going to bring that line straight down, so about from this dot over I can start to go. Okay, now on the front, we did a right angle. Okay? And we have a few other places that we wanted to make sure we had a right angle. Okay, one of them is here. One of them is here. Okay, and I've got a right angle here. But I am not going to put a right angle here. Okay? Because it's on the back needs to scoop down under, and so we just have to go the most important thing is to go that length, and so it has to scoop under, and then it comes down here. So I'm not doing a right angle here, but I did one over here, okay, because that's a little shorter. Okay, so now I need to draw this. Okay. There. All right, it's okay. This isn't my best work. All right, let me kind of scoot that out a little bit. All right, how does that look? So now we come down and then we scoot that out. And then this one, as you can see, it's a little bit deeper. All right? Okay, so what do we have left? We want to do our side seam, okay? So I'm going to take this, okay, and I'm going to, the waist seam, but I'm going to take the side seam, and it needs to match, okay? So if I put this up here, okay, and I put up, well, we're close, okay, so I put this here, and then I put this here. Can you guys see we're just a little bit off? don't know if you guys can see this.
It looks perfect from here.
Well, that's fabulous. Thank you for that vote of confidence. Okay, so right here, this is up a little bit, but if I just bring that in like that, I think I've got it. Okay, and then just join that up. Okay. Okay, good. Now they will match up when I sew them. All right? Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I need to fold the darts as if they were sewn. This is just like what we did on paper. And then fold them the way they go. And then I need to mark the points of the dart at the seam. Okay? And then from there you can put your seam allowance. So if I just take this, I'll try and do it on the board. Okay, so if I take this like that, so remember how we used to fold it at the point? Okay, see, I'll fold it here, and then I'm gonna take this leg, I'm gonna bring this over to match here, okay? Okay, so now that I've got that, okay, can you guys see what I did there? Okay, the next thing I need to do, and remember this is down a ways and this came up a little ways. I need to mark where the end of that dart is. So, what should we do? Let's use this. Okay, and I'm just gonna kind of mark. We used to do this with paper, right? Just kind of mark in there. So you can also, there's a few things you can do. I just use this. You could also, oh, okay, let's see. You could also take it like this. Okay. All right, and this gets a little tricky. I can fold this under, and I could just pinch it, crease it, iron it, do whatever you need to do. Okay, and then when you open it up, beautiful. I know this is ridiculous to see, but you can see a nice little line here. Can anyone see that?
I can see it.
Am I the only one who can see this? Okay. All right. See, it's right there. So, I don't recommend writing on your hand with a felt pen. So, I'm just going to do this. Now, this isn't a really huge, okay, that doesn't even look like anything. But it does help you get the dart shape what you need, okay? All right. Oh, look at this. This is scary. Look, people. Don't. I went right to the seam.
Oh, no.
Do not cut through your seam.
Do it.
But you can cut to the seam. Whew, that was scary. Okay. So, the next thing, and do the same to this dart. You'll see, well, that was, okay, wait, this one. This is where you'll see more, like this will kind of come down. You'll see a little bit more on this one. I should have showed you that one. You'd see a little bit more there. Okay, so do that where the dart turns, folds, I should say, and the pickup part of the dart, you want to get those lines and put them on your drape. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is the seam allowances. Okay, because remember, we do all that. So let's talk about this. We have 1 inch here because that's straight. Okay, what about my shoulder?
Well, it's a straight line.
It is straight. So technically, I could put in my, I'm just going to pin this. So this could be, see how that's straight? That should be straight. So I could do 1 inch here. Okay, where do I have any other straight lines? This is straight here. Okay, but because it's angled, well, this is angled too, but I'm going to have you just do 1/2 inch here because we've got to fold it under and lay it on top of the other one. So let's just do 1/2 inch. So as far as this bodice, let's just do 1 inch center back. Let's do 1 inch on the shoulder, and then let's do 1/2 inch everywhere else. 1/2 inch or 5/8. Okay? Any questions then? Okay, so I am going to trim all my seam allowances here, mark it in my seam allowances, and then trim it. And then I'm going to pin it and put it back on the dress form and show you what we need to do at that point. So we'll just be back in a moment. So the one thing we have not done yet, we need to do this before we do our seam allowances and pin it together and put it on, is we have to check the balance. We need to make sure our side seams are on the same angle so they will balance. So what you're going to do, and I've already put the lines in here, you need to measure from center back to the side seam here, and then you need to take that measurement and put it up here, mark it, and draw a line that is parallel to center back. So that's my orange line. And then you need to come over here and do the same thing. So measure from center front to the waist, and then come up a ways and measure it again and draw your line in. Okay, so now I need to see if these lines match up. So pick a point, it doesn't really matter. I went ahead and went 5 inches up and put a dot. Then I went up here 5 inches and put a dot, and then I'm going to measure from that dot over to the side seam on both sides and see what happens. Well, this is about 5/8, and this is about 7/8. That's terrible. All right, so I did that on purpose, but not really. No. Okay, so 5/8 here, 7/8 here. I've got to make them the same. All right, so what should I do? Well, it's not quite as easy as how I fixed dart legs. So really what I need to do now is to put this on the dress form and look at my balance line and see where I was off. And I did maneuver this a few times with the dart, and so I need to check that and see if maybe my dart's too big, maybe it's too small. That could be it too. So that's what I need to do on both of these pieces to see where I'm at, to see if I can't get that measurement where it needs to be. So that's what you do. So I'm going to work on that, and then I'll be back when it's all fixed and tell you how it turned out. Okay, so just to show you how we finish up the bodice, first of all, I did put it back on the dress form to make sure it balanced, and I ended up redrawing my side seams a little bit. And after I did that, I checked the balance lines, and I got the side seams in where they should be, and then I was okay here at the to balance it. So we're good with that. And then I just wanted to show you how to pin the dress form pin the drape part back to the dress form. So the first thing you want to do is pin your darts closed. When I did them first, I pinched them and just pinned it to itself, but now what you're going to do is pin it like if it was sewn. All right? Okay, and these darts need to go the other way, so we'll fix that. And then over here, you can see how we pinned that. Also, when you do pin the bodice, make sure that the rule to remember is that your pins are perpendicular to the stitching line, to the seam. So you can see on the dart here, they're perpendicular, and then stick a pin right where the tip of the dart is. And then once you do that, you really don't have to do a lot of pins. And I'm going to pin it where the ease would go, and you can see that it kind of makes it, like you'll say, oh, it doesn't fit anymore, but that's not true. Basically what's happened is we've put some ease in there. So if I were to just pinch that, there's my ease. So it's going to be a little bit of ways. It's going to kind of bag out a little bit from the dress form, because that, if there was a body in there, you'd need some room. So see how the darts are pinned perpendicular to the stitching line. And I want you to notice on the side seam, I folded one seam allowance over, put it on top, matched it up, pinned it perpendicular to this line, and the same up here. Okay. All right, so, and then the dart, and then if you do that, you really don't have to pin it to the dress form in a lot of places. But can you see here how this is going to come out a little ways, and there's going to be some ease, and you're going to say, oh, that's terrible. No, it's not. Because if I pinched out my inch and I pinched out this, then you can see it fits right snug again. So that's how you can kind of test it. But this is how we wear clothes. We wear them a little bit bigger. But you can see how it fits. The darts are pointing to the bust point. And you can also see how this is a little bit bigger, because if I pinched it, there's that 1/4 inch. Okay, I pinched it up there, so it kind of comes out at both sides. Anyway, that's what it's going to look like. Make sure that you clip your neck down to your seam line in a few places so that it will lay nice on your dress form. Okay, we are finished.